The Jason Cabin's experience. Gives help if I use a microphone. Hello, and welcome to Jason Cabin's experience. I'm your host, Jason Cabinets. Our guest today is James Sherer. James, are you ready to be great today?
Yes, I am ready to be great today.
A driven, analytical leader, James has over 20 years of experience continually developing strong, ongoing relationships with the correct people for proven sales and marketing to implementation in businesses impacted by rapid growth, change, or crisis. An entrepreneur since 17, he worked across teams to establish a 7,000 lead sales strategy, attained 197 yearly increase in client onboarding, guided a sales force to achieve a 33% yearly increase in sales, and increased multiple marketing campaign penetration by 30%. So that's a lot of good stuff there, James.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thanks for being here again, like I said.
Thank you.
So James, what does it mean even analytical? I think a lot of people use the term I'm analytical, but I don't think they really know what it even means, right? What does it mean to you to be analytical?
To be analytical to me is very process driven, very oriented towards a scientific nature as opposed to a very artistic driven process. And so for me, I think about working in sales management and sales processes. It's, having a set pattern of these are the different steps in the sales management process, from auditing the practices to, everything from improving salesperson performance at the very end. And so for me to be analytical, I feel like it's more of a process, being a process oriented person.
So it seems like most people are either creative or analytical. You very rarely first one like both of them, right? What's been your experience with that?
So it's funny. I was actually just finished up a book by 99U Institute, and it talks about the creative as an entrepreneur versus the non-creative person as an entrepreneur. And I really thought about it hard because I finished that book and then went to the previous version of their book, which was about managing your career and taking risks and being a true entrepreneur of your career. And I really asked myself, like, if I was a creative person and how I fit into that that background, like, am I actually a creative person? But being, working with Keller Schrader now and working on, being an entrepreneur of my career as an employee owner, I definitely feel like that's kind of more my speed as opposed to being a creative person, entrepreneur at this point. So.
Yeah, I only know one person, Mary Rossi. She's like a good creative and good analytical. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, she's just a superstar, right? Everything she does in terms of gold, right? You just tell that she gets both worlds. It's very rare to see, I think. So how do you become so analytical? Is something you learn through muscle memory or practice? And can someone like just turn up one day and say I'm analytical, or something you got to learn?
Mm-hmm. I think part of it is I'm such a structured individual in my temperament. I'm such a kind of like, we set goals. I have to-do lists. I have tasks to do every day. I have reminders to do every day. I feel like I was just kind of ingrained into me as a younger age. And so I've just became a more analytical person in setting up, goals and tasks and reminders and responsibilities. So.
Yeah, I hear you saying that stuff in my mind, just like, yes. I'm the same way, right? Checklists and to-dos and, Asana and program boards and, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I'm sure some creatives are like going batshit crazy. No, stop. I can't do that, right?
Yeah.
It just amazing how different minds think.
Yeah. So it's, but like I said, I literally just had that thought in my head a couple weeks ago when I finished that book, whether or not I was truly a creative trying to be an entrepreneur, or if I just have a creative streak in me occasionally, and I'm really more of a process-driven entrepreneurial kind of person.
So James, you have a code in your bio. So basic question is, to you, why is it important to build relationships with the quote-unquote correct people? I think so many people get that wrong, right? They build relationships with people that are going to waste their time, or not going to build them up, make them build people. Mm-hmm. How do you go about making sure you connect with the correct people, which is very important?
I feel like it's almost kind of like our sales approach at work. You still take a shotgun approach to like reaching out to people, to network and to build relationships, to try to find common ground and synergies. I think about it from a personal standpoint as the correct people will present themselves with their morals and their ethics and their behaviors. From a professional standpoint, with us at work at Keller Sherer, it's more of our culture of ownership and our culture of shared accountability, shared responsibility, and really looking at it as we are attracting the correct people to our environment. So then when we reach out to the client as a trusted advisor, we're looking for the correct client, not so much a revenue goal or a capital gains goal, but actually like what the actual client we're looking for is very, once a trusted advisor in the IT realm. So.
And how do you do this? Like, if you met someone through a networking event or a mutual connection, how long does it take you to figure out, hey, I want to see this to me, not worth my time, but how long is it to take you to determine, okay, I can add value, they can add value to me, versus, okay, this is just a waste of time for both of us? And what's your process for that?
I feel like it's a process of, tracking people through CRMs, whether it's HubSpot or we use ConnectWise at work to track our technical project management plus our account management. And so I feel like it's a process, but I also feel like when you get into the situation with the person one-on-one, there is a feeling out process, and you can really, just from like interacting with people, emailing them, talking to them on the phone, having a face-to-face with them, a networking meeting over coffee or lunch, you're going to get the vibe and you're going to figure out if that person can bring you value or not, or if you can bring them value. And from the years of networking, I definitely know that, that it's a situation where you have to give more than you give. Give more than you get to be able to be successful. So
James, here's another question for you. People always say, no, give value, give like 51%, take 49%, always give. Mm-hmm. But there's a point where like you've given, like example, like you suppose you did something 10 times for someone, right? Nothing mm-hmm. big, but like minor stuff, make connections, help them out. And then you ask them to do something small for you and they say no. Like, do you cut them off? Do you keep on giving? Is there a cutoff point for that?
I feel like it depends on how you've read the situation. I do volunteer with several groups in the Nashville area. One of the groups I volunteer with, I do a lot of college relations. So my point for the college relations is to help with career management, like resume review, job interview tips. And then from there, if I, do well in helping these people with a job interview preparation, and I see that they have a potential, I will, maybe be able to refer them to a recruiter, or maybe be able to refer them to a job that I know about in the Nashville area. So I feel like it's a situation where I'm giving a lot, and even if they don't maybe respond to a recruiter in a timely manner, it's a situation where I have to understand that not everybody is as comfortable with networking and putting people in touch with other people, doing things for other people. Like some people are very timid or hesitant to reciprocate sometimes. So,
James, can you talk about some of the challenges like people having finding jobs nowadays? It's all over LinkedIn. Job description, entry level. You need 10 years experience and blase, right? Can you talk about some of that?
I feel like it's an interesting situation with Keller Sherer, because being an employee-owned company, we not only are working on behalf of our clients to fill HR needs, either remote or in person through the Midwest and Southeast, or we're looking for our own employee owners to help facilitate our pillars of work, our business growth. And so I think what it comes down to is a couple of things. People have maybe a misunderstanding of what kind of jobs are actually out there that are not being filled. A lot of it may be hospitality, it may be retail. Finding an $80,000 job in a certain realm just may not be possible. I think the other thing is people are still trying to adapt to this either remote work, hybrid work, or back in the office completely. And so I feel like, what we've learned through the pandemic, not only with like supply chain constraints, but the office environment has made it to a situation where people are unsure of what to expect with their job description. So the job description could say, like you just said, Jason, 10 years experience for an entry level job, which is, clearly not the point. But, it also has to be a situation where there's synergy between the, pay, what's required, and what you're actually responsible to do. So.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of blame everywhere. Like I retired from the Army in 2015. I have my own tech startup. I do a podcast. But every 6 months, I go out and I look for jobs, right? Just to put myself out there, see what's out there. And in 2015, there's a company here in Seattle for an HR manager. And that job is still out there, right? 7 years later, they're still applying for the same job. And every 6 months, that job's out there, right? It's like, there's no way, right?
Yeah. And there has to be something that's either the environment, the culture. I feel very blessed to be in the situation I'm in, because I was able to, transition industry and function in the last year. And it's been a breath of fresh air personally and professionally to be where I am. And, we all, a lot of us at that, at Keller Schrader have, opportunities that come up, and we stay because it's a great employee owned environment. And, we don't have a lot of turnover. So to your point about, having the HR manager position role every 6 months, like we don't have that issue. The average tenure for us is like 17 years for our employees. So to say that we have, issues with that would be misleading.
So for the HR position you hire for, are these like for like certain size companies, certain industries?
Yeah, so most of them are IT related positions that we're hiring for. So when we have our HR team looks into hiring for a client, the client will come to us with a requisition. We need a net developer. We need a situation where we have a project manager, a program manager needed. And so what we'll do is we'll seek out requisitions for those positions and then post them through our company. The company possibly has posted it themselves as well. It's just it's just kind of like being a recruiter and a staffing arm for our company.
So James, what do you see as far as the future work as far as like COVID and brought on remote work? It's like some big corporation could like trying to make people come back to the workspace. What do you see the future of that being?
I think what it comes down to is there are some companies that probably have that mentality that you have to be back in the office full time. I feel like there's also some companies that will have a open-minded approach to, some people had their best years ever during the pandemic, working from home, working remotely, working hybridly, if possible. And so I think it speaks to the fact that people are just as hard of a worker at home as in the office, but it gives you that freedom to do other tasks, to be home with your kids if necessary, and still work. And so for me, I feel like it is the ability to kind of, like I talked about earlier, be an entrepreneur of my career. Like I can structure my day to do different things at different times. I can test out different patterns, like when I prospect, when I network, if it's a morning, it's an afternoon, it's around lunchtime, and test out theories about when's the best time to get a hold of people. It allows me to, set the times for cadence with, the different account people I have to follow up with, work with vendors, do training. So I think that it allows you, like I said, to be an entrepreneur of your career and allow you to be successful, working from home, working hybrid. And I would hope that, customers and clients and, companies would see that. So.
Yeah, I wish I could remember where I saw this at, but I remember reading somewhere where the stats show that people that work from home actually work more hours or longer than people in the office, right? Because, in your office, first you got to spend 1 hour, 2 hours driving back and forth to work. If you're in the office, you probably be on Facebook, Bob, Tom, and Susan walking by, chit chat, where you're at home. It's just a different way you can focus more on work. with,
Yeah.
of course you have some distractions, right? The kids and stuff. Another time I think people forget, like everyone want to remote work, but this remote work is like remote plus, right? You got to like take care of kids, be a teacher, blase, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like, it's a situation where, like I said, you're in charge of your own career and you're crafting it as the entrepreneur of your own career. You don't have to be an entrepreneur of a business. I mean, you can take risks and build excellence in a career every day.
So here's a question for you. So I'm a big believer that everyone's not good at remote work. Like for me, example, right? I can't work at home, right? Because I'm like taking 2 or 3 naps, binge watching some show on TV, right? So how do y'all make sure when you're bringing people on that person is actually set up for remote work? Is it a program at your company where you make sure they're set for success, or is it a test you give them, or how does that work for y'all?
For us, the way it worked is it's discussed in the start of the interview process. The interview process for us has I've known it to be short, I've known it to be long. We have to understand that there are work cycles that have to be taken care of, whether it's building a bill of materials, doing a statement of work. The engineers are in charge of making sure that they are getting their information from us. We're getting information from them, making sure that they complete the tasks for the inside product managers, making sure the director of infrastructure operations knows what's going on. So for us, it's, starting at the very beginning with that culture and that environment, understanding that we trust you to be remote. We trust you to be hybrid. We understand that we won't micromanage you. Like that's not part of our environment or our culture. And it's just kind of going along and attracting people that we know are going to be successful in that mode of work.
So James, you've been an entrepreneur since you were 17.
Yep.
Can you talk about, how you decided to become an entrepreneur and your entrepreneur journey from 17 to now?
I feel like I've always had, a bone in my body that wanted to be a business owner. Right now I'm more in the career mode with, IT. So my entrepreneurship is more hands off at this point. I still do have a couple of entities that I work with. But I think it was just looking at what I wanted to do as a passion back when I was 17 and working in the music industry, and kind of crafting a business around that. And so it kind of started that way. And then over time, it's morphed into more project management oriented, for sales focused, project oriented for event focused. And, being an entrepreneur is just something that I enjoy as part of my career. And it's a valuable piece of the puzzle because you have some skin in the game. Just like with Keller Sherer being an employee owner now, you have skin in the game, and you want to make sure that you are, taking care of what needs to be taken care of as a business owner, but you also have the opportunity to, be a career owner as well. So,
James, what advice do you have for people like, maybe one person, an entrepreneur, but they're kind of really making it and they're considering going back to corporate America, so to speak, and vice versa. Someone in corporate America is like entrepreneurial bug and they want to make the plans to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I feel like the advice I would give is the one thing I've struggled with is trying to bridge the two. Trying to be an entrepreneur and trying to work in corporate America, because you obviously need, some sort of capital if you're going to try to bootstrap the situation to start with, if you don't want to go out and find funding. The biggest thing with, Keller Sherer is I'm allowed to, work and have, tasks to complete for them during the day. But then if I want to at night, work on, a hobby or a side project, it's okay. And so I feel like trying to balance out the being an entrepreneur and working in corporate America, can be difficult. And so my advice to people would be, sit down and have a game plan for what you want to do and how you want to do it, and see if it's possible. Communicate it to your family members, communicate it to your mentors, your trusted advisors, and see what they say. So,
yeah, I think that's a tough decision for a lot of people because if you bootstrap it right and you quit your job, you lose all the money, all the potential money you might have made, and then you're just, of course, then you have more time to work in your business. But then if you keep the job, you have your job responsibilities, but then less time to work your business. I definitely think it's like almost a chicken egg thing and a difficult decision for a lot of people to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I feel like people, we have people that work with us who do side projects in music and do side projects in photography and art. And so for us, it's a way to have a creative outlet, like we talked about at the very beginning of this show. It's a way to have a creative outlet in addition to the technical expertise that we bring to the table. So it's just, like I said, it's a way to balance your life, and it's a way to balance your career. So
yeah, and it's still also like a lot of investors, they won't even talk to you unless you're going full time, right? They're like, so you're working for Amazon, and you're trying to raise funds, and then the investor says, hey, can you pitch me at 2 p.m. on Wednesday? And oh crap, I got a Amazon meeting at 2:30, right? So it's kind of hard to balance those things, I think. So I definitely think if you go on a fundraise, you got to go all in, I think. But it's just my opinion.
No, I agree, because I'm familiar with Bunker Labs. There's one here in Nashville. I've worked with the Entrepreneur Center downtown, mentoring business owners. I've had some interactions with Jumpstart Foundry, which does healthcare IT. And they build programs that you spoke about earlier, Jason. They build cohorts in technology, healthcare, entertainment, to help with exactly that, which is facilitating funding, facilitating business growth, and kind of going from there. So,
and how long? It's called the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, right?
Yes, it is.
And are you still doing stuff with them?
I sign up to be a mentor every year. It's just kind of hit or miss on what they're looking for. Sometimes they'll seek me out for opportunities around IT with Keller Schrader. Sometimes they'll seek me out for opportunities around sales process management. I'm always trying to go to networking mixers there. It's just a way to give back to the community, at this point. So,
and from your time working with them, what from your point of view have you seen entrepreneurs consistently get wrong, and you just don't want to shake them, you're the 10th, you're the 100% that's wrong, please stop making this mistake?
I think one thing is they're so kind of drawn out into like different directions as an entrepreneur that it is the follow-up on certain situations. Like if you talk to me and you want to facilitate a conversation in a certain direction, like I was saying, like sales, marketing, operations, and then you want to have me introduce you to like 3 or 4 people, 4 or 5 people, and I do so, it's not getting part of that follow-up of, I'm trying to help you facilitate introductions to get you more knowledge to make better business decisions as you grow. So what can we do to, to help understand as an entrepreneur that we need to follow up, we need to include people in conversations. And that's what I think is the most frustrating thing that I've seen.
So what's the tech startup scene like in Nashville? Is it pretty vibrant? Is like in the early stages? How's that going?
As far as the tech startup scene, there are, we work with a couple of fintech companies and a couple of healthcare tech companies in Nashville that started out as part of the entrepreneur organization and worked their way up to some status. We obviously have Oracle coming. We have Sherer's here. We have a very large Amazon presence. So we have some big players. We also have some small players. So I would say that the tech scene is very healthcare tech related and financially technology related as far as startups. So.
And when people raise money, is there VC money or angel money there so they can raise locally, or they have to go like the Bay Area or New York City?
Yeah. There are people who will go to like Atlanta, Boston, Chicago. There was just actually an article in the newspaper last week for the Nashville Business Journal that one individual is starting a healthcare fund focused on minority-owned healthcare IT companies. And so there are people here who are looking to be able to bring a certain amount of funding to the to Nashville, but obviously any large funding would need to be done at a larger metropolis. So
Are there any startups in Nashville like quote unquote have made it, so to speak, that like are nationally known?
oh man, that's a good question, Jason. Off the top of my head, not that I can think of. I mean, obviously every company started at one time, as something small. I mean, we've had some homegrown companies that do very well, like Cracker Barrels in Lebanon, Tennessee. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cracker Barrel. It's like a
Yeah,
nationwide
yeah.
chain. They're out of Lebanon, Tennessee. We have some homegrown, obviously, like HCA Healthcare was founded in Nashville by Jack Massey, as well as a couple other healthcare companies that he founded, and he brought Belmont to notoriety with the business school. And so, I mean, there are some larger companies that have definitely started out as small organizations in Nashville that have become successful, mostly in the hospital and banking realm.
So James, you're an entrepreneur, or whether you have a small business trying to build a billion-dollar company, everyone tells don't quit, keep on going, keep on grinding, because if you quit, success might be around the corner, all that kind of stuff. But is there a time when entrepreneurs should quit, when they should say, okay, this isn't working, I need to do something else?
Um, I feel like if you're at a point where you're always trying to innovate, like one thing that I always say is you want to collect knowledge, create new knowledge from that, and then discard what you don't need. I think when you get to the point where you've created knowledge and you feel like you are at the last iteration of whatever product or service you're trying to offer and you're just missing the niche, I feel like there's times that people want to quit, but there's always ways to do something better than what is already being done. I have this conversation with my wife all the time. Like, people, pretty much everything in the world, and to my knowledge, has been created at this point. What it is just doing something better than somebody else, whether it's through customer service, saving money, saving time. And so for me, I don't feel like there's ever a time to quit. I feel like there's times to step back and maybe redirect your career into something else and kind of go from there.
So James, I think a lot of people, become entrepreneurs or founders or small business owners.
Mhm.
They have no idea about the muscles, high and lows, right? If actually 1 minute you might be on top of the world, next minute you might be crushed, right?
Yeah.
What's your advice on entrepreneurs like dealing with all this emotional stuff you have to go through?
Yeah. I think it's kind of like being a salesperson, and kind of like in our world is you have to deal with a lot of rejection, and you got to persevere. So for us, it's being like, you're going to get rejection from either a funding or your idea is going to kind of fall flat, and kind of go from there. But the perseverance of, persevering in your idea and your beliefs that you're going to be successful. I think that is the most important thing, is to deal with the highs and lows, is just understanding there is going to be rejection, but you got to persevere.
So, a lot of founders, it's kind of got cost of sales a little bit. A lot of founders, they know they have to like get on the phone or, do user testing, all that kind of stuff. For whatever reason, they know I got to call people today. Number one, focus. And they'll go do number 20 because they're not scared of calling people. They want either rejection or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
What's your advice for like having a phone? Get on the phone and call people.
Mm-hmm. I've had this conversation with a mentor of mine, and I believe, people are at this point where they want to talk to somebody, whether it's because of the pandemic and all they've done is, Zoomed or, set on phone calls. People want to meet with people face to face, like for sales calls. They want to have a phone conversation. Everybody sends emails, sends, postcards, or, email blast, or a mailing blast to generate business. And I feel like everybody right now is, just hungry for interaction, like whether it's a phone call. And so I feel like you're getting a better success with picking up the phone and dialing somebody versus, getting on a Zoom call or a WebEx call, or, sending them an email. So it's just coaching somebody in the sales person performance realm and saying, hey, you're going to be successful. You just got to, be able to do it and pick up the phone. And understanding that if you make 25 calls, you might get a hold of one or two people, but that could be all you need to be successful. So.
Yeah. I remember seeing this on LinkedIn a while ago. Someone did a post. It was like, one of those quote unquote sales experts. And then they said cold calling is dead. Mm-hmm. But from what you just said, I'm guessing you don't believe that's true, correct?
No, I think it's part of a bigger system of contacts, as far as doing a LinkedIn touch point with somebody a couple of times, sending them a LinkedIn message, maybe then sending them an email 2 or 3 days later, and then picking up the phone and calling them a couple of days later. So that way they've had a few touch points with LinkedIn, with email, and you're at the point where you're ready to pick up the phone and make the phone call. They already have some clarity about you. Like, they already know what you do. You're just giving them an incentive to talk to you is by pick up the phone.
So James, they'll tell you to do sales calls or whatever, you'll follow up, right? Follow up.
Yep.
What is there a time you should stop following up? Like, and is there like a preferred method? Like, first email day one, another email 4 days later, and then you follow up like every 20 days, or is there a time that you should just stop?
I feel like it's, people will put together a cadence of like emails, phone calls, LinkedIn, maybe Twitter, maybe some other like Facebook post, something in the social media realm. But I feel like if you get a hold of somebody and they will give you the cadence they're looking for to talk to them, whether it's an email, a phone call once every 2 weeks, once every 4 weeks, hey, touch base with me once every 2 months. I feel like you have to set that cadence. I will normally reach out to somebody probably 3 to 4 times in a 2-month period. And if I don't get a hold of them, I'll probably hold off for 2 or 3 months and start over again. Because sometimes it's just bad timing. You never know what's going on in their life. They could just maybe not be open to networking. They might not be open to, the sales that you're trying to sell. They may have a change of leadership. They may have a new position. So it's just understanding that there's always bad timing, there's good timing, and you just got to find the right time. So,
James, is there an official definition of what spam is? Or is that pretty much up to every person to determine what that is?
I think it depends. I was doing some work earlier this week for Keller Sherer and prospecting for our technology vendor summit this end of this March. And I was probing people based on just emails within our prospect list for ConnectWise. And, people were getting bounce backs, or this message is too large. And so sometimes it's spamming if people will tell you they don't want to get your messages and you still send them stuff. Like, that's my version of spam, is I've told you I don't want to get it and you still continue to send it to me. So why are you doing that? For me, it's, hey, I'm trying to figure out, does your email address work? Are you still at this position? Are you still at this company? I need to scrub my data to get rid of information that's not relevant. So that's part of it for me, is, that initial outreach that I did earlier this week is not really spam, but, a couple of people reached back out and said, hey, I don't want to get any information. If I continue to send them stuff, that would be spam to me. So.
Yeah. I think a lot of people need more understanding when they, what they think is spam, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people like get a message and they immediately report it, or they send you a nasty message, But I definitely like your point of view better. But
yeah.
What can you do, right?
You just keep plugging away and see what happens. So,
And is there any like certain like sales tools y'all use, like any kind of sales platform y'all use? I know you mentioned HubSpot. Do you use them, or use something else, or what's the best for y'all to use?
So Keller Sherer uses ConnectWise. It is a combination of a technical platform and a account management platform. So there's like a manage section, a sell section. You can keep track of like project management for technical stuff. You can keep track of your accounts. You can keep track of activities and opportunities. So it's a very robust piece of software. I personally use HubSpot as well because I like to keep like people who are connectors separate from like our prospect pool, so we're not like constantly sending my connectors marketing information and making them feel obligated to connect me to people. We do pretty much everything that I do through ConnectWise. So that would be my kind of go-to at this point. So,
And how did you find the Connect Wise? Like some vendor come approach you and show your system, or what's your process for picking that vendor over different vendors? Hey, James, I think you froze up. So James just froze on us.
hello.
Yeah, you froze for a minute.
Okay.
So the last question I asked you was, like, how do you pick this vendor? Like,
Yeah.
was a process you did to go like select them through 2 or 3 different ones, or how that happened?
Yeah. So it was ConnectWise was in place before I got to Keller Schrader.
Okay.
So for me, it was a situation where we needed a very technical background CRM. And so for us, it was, something that is totally like IT related. So it allows us to, use all parts of it for all facets of our job, whether it's, tracking activities, tracking opportunities, whether it is, attaching proposals, stuff like that. So it's just kind of a one-stop shop for us to track all of our work. So,
Okay.
and then we have a time and entry system as well. So we can, bill our time for like our technical services and stuff. So
James, next talk about your time with the American Marketing Association and what you did with them.
So they're the ones I was referencing earlier. I just rejoined American Marketing Association on behalf of Keller Schrader as the collegiate relations chair. So I'm working with the college students to help broaden their chapters, especially the chapters that are in Nashville. There's 3 of them. There's 2 or 3 other colleges that have an informal chapter. So for me, it's very rewarding to work with the college kids and help them prepare for careers, help them prepare for their first foray into the real world. So for them, it's a lot of networking, teaching them how to manage their careers and kind of get them started on the right foot. So,
James, suppose there's someone out there and they're trying to decide they don't want to they either want to do sales or marketing. They can't decide which one to go to. What advice you have for them to pick the career?
So at Keller Schrader, we just went through a transition where we moved our sales and our marketing from 2 different silos under one person. So for me, that is, I believe, the way to go is when sales and marketing are working together, because it kind of helps create that entire customer life cycle. So you have, marketing through sales and customer success. And I would say that if I had to tell somebody, sales is marketing and marketing is sales. So being involved in one or the other is going to, hopefully get you to the same endpoint, which is finding a successful customer, being able to get referrals and, cross sell as necessary. So,
James, then I believe on March 30th, y'all are doing a 2022 Tech Vendor Summit. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So we at Keller Schrader have a technology vendor summit in Evansville, Indiana. So we currently work in Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. We are hosting the Technology Vendor Summit at Evansville, which is where the headquarters is located. What it is it's a series of breakout sessions. Vendors are in touch with us about showcasing their services and their products. We have a keynote speaker. We just have, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of opportunity for people to network, learn about the value in other people's companies, and allows us to showcase what makes us so special. So we're doing that. The goal would be to eventually move to the second location we have in Nashville and have a vendor summit down here at some point in time. So,
And this is something y'all do every year?
yes. So we actually didn't do it, I don't believe, last year because of COVID. So this is back for the first time since 2020, I guess, because it would have happened right at the start of COVID. So it's been a couple of years. It's just a great way for us to get out there and be part of the community and bring, some vendors together, some people together, and showcase their talents.
So James, you already talked about this some, but can you go in more detail and answer the best you can, like how Sherer got started, what y'all focus on right now, and what's the vision for the company going forward?
So Sherer has been in business for 43 years. Like I said earlier, regarding the HR positions and how we fill positions, the average tenure is 17 years for our employee owners. What makes us different is being an ESOP, an employee-owned company. It allows us each to have a piece of ownership in the company. So we have a lot more shared responsibility, shared accountability of the decisions we make, everything from expense reports to margins to total projects. We started as a small firm with two individuals. There are now roughly 105 of us. And so the average revenue is roughly around 55 million that we do in business a year. So we focus on 4 different pillars of business. One is application development. One is infrastructure, which includes security. We do data strategy, and then we also do staffing and recruiting as well. So those are the 4 pillars that we work in, and we just we aim to be a trusted advisor, give people performance management and profitability through technology solutions. So,
and I'm guessing you have clients all across the United States.
We do. So in Nashville, because of my proximity to transportation, that's a little bit more conducive to business travel than Evansville. We do have clients everywhere from Burbank, California to Buffalo, New York. So we do run across the nation, but the majority of our business is centered in the Midwest and the Southeast.
So James, sometimes it seems like every one of the mothers a recruiter. It's like every year there's like 10 new tech startups who are going to, fix the hiring problem across the United States. But it's like nothing ever changes, right? Why do you think that is?
Why nothing changes as far as tech recruiters, or?
No, yeah, just the thing, like I said, when I started in 2015, you upload your resume next screen, type in everything on your resume on the screen, right? Just stuff like that. It's like nothing changes. All the disconnect,
Yeah. I think it comes back to the follow-up. Like, people are still expecting some sort of human interaction when it comes to applying for a job and interviewing. And the way that, the system works now, where it's bonkers to me that you literally have to put your resume in and then retype the information again.
That's craziness. I will never understand that.
It's bonkers to me. And then you get kicked out of the system because you don't match the wording that they have in the job description. So I think that's one thing, is just the frustration with the application process. I feel like 2 is sometimes the job description does not mimic what the actual job entails. So that's one thing. I think another thing is, people still want to have referrals and want to have introductions to people they want to hire. Like, you still want to have that human interaction. And when you make it all technology, or you make it all digital to start, it just makes it hard, for people to feel like they're wanted. And then, when you have an introduction to a recruiter, or you have a referral to a recruiter, and they don't follow up, that definitely, makes people feel unwanted. It makes people feel insecure. So,
is there some type of certification that recruiters have to get? Like if you're a accountant, you get a CPA. If you're HR, you get a HPHR or whatever it is. Is this something where recruiters have to go, or anyone can become a recruiter?
I don't know specifically the answer to that question. I know in our world, in the IT world, like a lot of our technical engineers have several different certifications. So I'm not really sure that HR people need recruiting certifications. I think anybody could just become a recruiter. So
yeah, that's what I think so too. Which of course, would be a good thing or a bad thing, right?
yeah, because then you can maybe weed out some people. But I say that, but there are some good recruiters out there that I know.
Yeah,
I mean, they stay in touch. They are always willing to help. I mean, so you get the good ones, you get the bad ones. So
there's definitely some good ones out there. Definitely.
yeah.
So can you talk more like about the IT piece of your company?
Yeah. So one of the pillars is the application development stuff that we do, which spans the gamut of almost anything in the business process world. We do IBMI applications. We do some applications for that you would see like in the iTunes store. So we do run the gamut with that. As far as our infrastructure, like I said, it covers security. So anything that is a managed services security operation to providing a managed security awareness, managed detection response, firewalls, any kind of products that we do as far as switches and routers, that kind of handles that. Any endpoints, so your laptops, your peripherals. And then our newest one is our data strategy. And so, that's taking math and science to your business problems to better your business. And so I just did a podcast a couple weeks ago regarding digital transformation in the world of data strategy, and talking about how in the utility world with like gas and electric, that we will reduce a business process from 7 steps to 5 steps, make it mobile, and allow us to render emergencies in a quicker manner. So,
it's cybersecurity and IT; those two separate things, correct? Or they're both the same.
So our infrastructure group at Keller Sherer oversees products and services, so like network implementation, but also security implementation. So the security implementation can be as easy as a vulnerability assessment, a penetration assessment, a security assessment. And so we will do that. And then we will, recommend certain products within the mindset of, you need something that's turnkey. Would you like something that we can help manage? And it kind of goes from there. So
what you've seen so far, like how unprotected are most small businesses versus cybersecurity threats?
The people are definitely unprotected. We have, clients that, we've talked about them with their vulnerabilities for months and they don't do anything about it. And then they wonder why people are, clicking on phishing emails, clicking on scams, and it's not, the $100, $200, $300 that a personal, individual might send to a scammer. We're talking like multi-thousands of dollars that somebody may inadvertently send to a scammer. The other big thing is risk management insurance has gone up drastically in the last year. People have seen their premiums skyrocket by 1,000%. And so part of that is you have to have a security incident in place, security response incident in place, and you have to have some sort of vulnerability assessment, so like where you're penetratable, where things are just kind of sitting out there for the taking. So
James, what's it called? Like when someone hacks your company and then you have to pay them like $1 million or something like that. There's an I can't think what it is.
Ransomware.
Okay, yeah, that's it, right. Yeah, that's been like very, very like probably the wrong term to use, like very prevalent recently.
Yeah, so we talked about we were talking about the day of the Super Bowl. I believe it was the San Francisco 49ers got a ransom for like $29 million. And, obviously the deal is you don't have to pay 29 million, like they'll settle for less than that. But it's a situation where it's something you got to deal with, and, people are ransoming small businesses to large businesses. So it is what it is. You got to deal with it.
So Jamie, you heard the news all the time, like a company gets hacked or whatever the case may be. I have to wonder, or two-part question, how many companies get hacked that don't even know about it? And then how many companies are hacked that they don't make it public because they don't want to know, because they're worried about the branding of being hacked?
Yeah. I think one, if you're probably a private company, based on what I know about regulations, if you're a private company, you probably don't have to disclose that. But if you're a public company, it probably has to be disclosed that you're either paying a ransom or you've been ransomed. I do know of a couple of situations where hackers have got into a system and been dormant in the system for months just to gather information about the client and then mimic the client at some point in time. So that's one part of the question. Is I think it depends on the size of the company and the type of company, whether or not you have to report it. But two, people will get hacked and not know that they're hacked because the person's just sitting there waiting to gather as much information as possible to put together a scam and try to fish money from people. So,
James, what can individual people do to protect themselves from this kind of stuff? You might not have the resources for big corporations.
Yeah, as far as for individual, we work with KnowBe4, which is a managed security awareness. They do a scam of the week. We take that scam of the week and we send it out to our clients so they know what not to do. A lot of it is, just watching out for the fact that in the current events, like with the Ukrainian, Russian war, like, there are people who are trying to scam money for the Ukrainians to try to help them financially. You have a situation where people will also look at sending links to the mail, whether it's you've won a settlement. So one, it's just being socially aware of social engineering. Two is using spam filters if necessary. If you have the ability on your computer or your phone to have a free endpoint protection, we use Carbon Black, we use Mimecast. There's Windows Defender as well that you can use. So it's there's all different kinds of options for people out there, and it's just but a lot of it comes down to just being smart about the situation. So
yeah, I remember one time my aunt, she's like in the 70s, she got an email. The email said, I'm Lieutenant Colonel John Brown, I'm a prisoner in the Syrian military. In order to get out, I need for you to send me money, please.
Yeah, it's and the other thing too is they prey on people who may have because of age, cognitive disabilities, and get a hold of people. And it's unfortunate. It's just like sales. It's you have a shotgun approach to sales to narrow down what you're really looking for with people. And you shoot out 250 emails, and if you get 2 people to respond, that's what you're looking for. So
back to sales real fast. You brought it up. So they'll tell you, do your phone calls for the case and hear your pitch. When should you go refine it? Like, suppose you did 30 calls, all the 30 people said no, or 40 people say no. When should you stop? Okay, this isn't working. 5 calls, 10 calls. Is it like a standard number for that?
As far as what you're saying in the pitch,
what you're saying, everything, what you're saying, how you're saying it, the whole approach.
I think it comes down to you have to be able to offer them something of value in the conversation. A lot of times people will say stuff like, do you have 27 seconds for me to tell you why I called? Because it's just a random number. And to me, I don't feel like that works. Or they'll just call and be like, I know I probably caught you at a bad time. Well, they're not expecting your call. It's probably not a good time anytime.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
mean,
point.
yeah. So, sending the email to kind or the LinkedIn touch point to really kind of lay the foundation about why you're calling. They're probably not going to read the email, but they're probably going to at least know who you are when you call. The other thing that we work with is, we have an appointment setter. And so that person will, restructure their call queue, will restructure their call flow, will restructure their call script to try to engage people in different ways. And then people will say to us, well, there's something that this person said that really resonated with me, and this is why I wanted to talk to you. Or we are really struggling with our current provider, we want to have other options. So it just kind of depends on, like I said earlier in this call, in this program, that it just kind of depends on the timing of what you're shooting for. So
I'm guessing too, if you're doing a sales call, you need to be as high energy as you can, right? Versus like monotone or you got to be, even in a high energy person, you need to kind of fake it and be high energy.
I think high energy, or for Keller Schrader, it's like I've said multiple times, it's about being trusted as an advisor and not so much a salesperson. So some of our best people are very laid back when it comes to how they approach a client. It's very very Southern draw, a Midwestern accent, just kind of a, hey, how you doing? It just kind of depends. So, but I don't know that many of us are very high energy when it comes to how we prospect and how we network. It's more of, this is what we do. This is what we're good at. We'd love to help you.
So James, do you find that, you have to approach like sales differently based on the area? Like, maybe you have to approach it one way in the South, different way in the West, just based on different cultural differences and way things are done in different places?
Yeah, I think the one thing I've talked about with our VP of sales and marketing and other people in our company is, Nashville is such a larger metropolis than where our headquarters is. Even though in Evansville, we do work with a lot of big companies that are headquartered there and have ancillary sites there. In Nashville, the sense of urgency is a little greater than where we are headquartered out of. So for us, we definitely want people to know that we can adapt and we can bring that sense of urgency to Nashville that they need, which we do, but we can also be very laid back and methodical, like we are in Evansville with our clients. So it's really understanding the culture and the environment of the client versus the culture and environment of our company, and making sure that they blend and mesh well together. So,
James, so it seems like most business people are using LinkedIn as a platform, right? Whether sales, B2B, B2C, or the case may be. Are there any other social media platforms out there you recommend people to use?
So we use YouTube for our podcasts. We use Twitter, we use Facebook, we use LinkedIn, and I want to say we use Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like people can get really wrapped up in, I use Twitch, or I use TikTok or Snapchat, or at the end of the day, there are some that I feel that are just meant for business, like a Twitter, a Google review page, a LinkedIn page. If you are looking for just getting basic information, if you're very visual, I feel like there's Instagram, there's YouTube. We do a lot with, like I said, those 5 social media channels. What I like about LinkedIn is I love to test things on LinkedIn, like the posts that I put out there, whether they are posts that include a research project, a post that includes a video, a post that includes a picture, whether it's mentioning people, whether it's not mentioning people.
Hey, so we have a special guest on a podcast now.
I know we have Liam. We have a little dog in the background. So
back there photoshopping.
Yeah. That's great.
So James, is there anything else that I asked you that I haven't, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, like I said, when I reached out to you, I really enjoy your podcast. I think that you cover a breadth of information for a lot of different people that makes it relevant what you talk about. I'm familiar with Bunker Labs. We have a lot of respect in our company for the military, so thank you for your service. We like
Hey, and I
to.
don't. Hey, James. Whenever someone says, I always say, "And thank you for paying your taxes or paying my retirement."
Well, you're welcome. But I personally am involved in volunteering with a couple of military-based associations here in Nashville, and the one thing I would say is I know that you kind of broadcast on LinkedIn that you work in the HR realm. Like we're always looking for employee owners in our region. We're always looking for clients who need staffing and HR related services. So we're here to help. We have the background, we have the knowledge, and we have the tenure in business. So,
Hey, James, I forgot to ask you this during the pre-talk. And some people do this, some people don't. Do you have like any kind of gift or discount or resource for the listeners?
yeah. So one of the couple of the things that we offer, and I cleared this with marketing before I got on the podcast, was we will, if people are willing to give us 15 minutes of a phone conversation, we will donate to a United Way approved association of their choice for $25. There's an opportunity for a greater donation. And then we also are currently offering between 1 and 3 hours of free assessment hours, depending on which pillar of opportunity you're looking for, whether it's applications, infrastructure, security. So we are offering, our time and services just to kind of give people a frame of mind, whether it's about an incident response plan, whether it's about an application that they need help with. We're willing to offer, that time. So.
And James, all the jobs you're looking to fill, all those posted on your website?
Yes, they're all currently on the website. For both our company as an employee owners, but also for our clients that we service. But like I said, always looking for employee owners that fit our culture and our environment of shared accountability, and always looking for clients that need help facilitating employment. So,
James, can you share your social media for both yourself and your company so people can reach out to you?
Yeah, it's www.kellerschroeder.com. That's KELLERSCHROEDER.com. And then you can click on the 5 links at the top that have the 5 different social media platforms we talked about. And you can get me through there. So.
And to a listener who have the links to his resource and gift and his social media on the show notes, you find the show notes at www.cabinetshlblog.com. Be sure to share this episode with your friends and your network, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Jason Cabinet Experience. So, James, we're coming in to talk. Can you give us any last minute advice and wisdom on anything you want to talk about?
They asked me on the last podcast I did for the digital transformation and data strategy, and I had a nice biblical quote that I can't recite from scratch at this point in time, but it basically alluded to never be complacent when it comes to your personal or professional work. There is what you do every day at work, and then there's everything you do outside of work, and just don't be complacent. Always be pushing yourself, always drive yourself, but be patient, because being impatient can also hinder your drive. So,
James, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason. Have a great day.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. And remember to be great every day.